In a unique ecosystem called the Everglades in southern Florida, an effort is underway to repair water quality damage caused by years of development and human activities.
Many people have thought of the Everglades as a swamp, but it's actually a freshwater river. It moves very slowly. It was about 100 miles long and 50 miles wide, and moved at the rate of about a quarter of a mile per day. It's a very shallow river, no more than about 5-6 feet deep at the deepest portions. It's a unique ecosystem. There are no other Everglades anywhere else in the world.
Well, people, in I don't know, the 20s or whatever, really started moving to Florida, especially along the coast. And then agriculture started up around the lake because of the rich soils just south of the lake. 2 back-to-back hurricanes caused some really bad flooding and killed a bunch of people south of the lake when the water just spilled right over and swamped the area. So at that point, Congress realized that they had to do something if Florida was going to develop.
The Central and Southern Florida Project came into being in 1948 through an act of Congress and charged the Army Corps of Engineers and on the state of Florida side, the South Florida Water Management District, with building and operating a water management system.
Basically, we're charged with managing the water resources for a large portion of South Florida. Our mission is multifaceted. We are mindful of the environment, but also provide water supply to agricultural needs and urban needs, and also need to focus on water quality and make sure the quality of that water that we're delivering is as high as can be.
Well, as a result of the water management system, there have been alterations to where the water goes. It no longer goes to the same places it did historically. The timing of water flow is also managed. In South Florida, there are 2 seasons during the year, the wet season and the dry season. Sometimes now parts of the natural system are too wet when they should be dry, or they're too dry when they should be wet. Changing the timing of the water distribution has had some significant impacts on the wildlife of the Everglades, and this has been particularly visible with some of the wading bird species, such as the wood stork and the egrets and herons. Their reproductive cycle is very nicely timed with the seasonal water cycle. When the water levels go down, food is concentrated in the permanent pools of water, and the wading birds can build up their body mass and to the point where they are able to breed and reproduce and raise young. And if there is too much water in the system at a time of the year when it should be dry, the birds have to go farther afield to search for food, and so they're not able to build up.
As scientists or as engineers, we can control water levels in the Everglades with quite a robust system, but what we're realizing now is historically that's not the way the Everglades operated. The Everglades is driven by rainfall. We know that in the wet season we want 18 inches of water in this wetland for the natural environment for the birds or the fish. But what we found is that 18 inches every year is not necessarily the right answer. And in fact, the environment responds to periods of drought, natural cycles of drought and flood. So what we're realizing now is that we need to look at following a more natural cycle, and the best one we can have is the natural rainfall pattern. So as more rainfall falls, we would have stages higher in the Everglades, and as less rainfall falls in a period of drought, we would actually allow the Everglades to dry out, realizing that it may impact some species that year, but it'll enhance other ones that will benefit the entire system overall.
A lot of people are watching, not only in the United States, but around the world, to see if we are successful in restoring the elements of the ecosystem and getting the water right and bringing back the diversity of wildlife and plant life. And if we can get it right here, there is hope that we can get things right in other ecosystems around the country and around the world that are experiencing problems.